Welcome back, everybody. We are focusing a lot on this show on making America healthy again. And here's one example of how it's going. Alcohol consumption among U.S. adults has just dropped to the lowest level ever recorded, a sharp cultural shift as more Americans, it seems like, are turning to healthier lifestyles, avoiding the hangovers and opting for alternatives like non-alcoholic beverages. And one company who should be ecstatic about this result is Pure Health Research, because they are the makers of liver health formula. And with us now to discuss how they can help you become healthier from Pure Health Research, Dr. Ian Tolbert. Dr. Tolbert, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me again. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. You know, it certainly seems like in a lot of different areas, obviously, I just highlighted the alcohol category, but it seems like people are really starting to pay more attention to the things that they are putting in their bodies. Are you seeing the metrics show improvement?
Yeah, that's kind of a two-part question. So yes, the statistics are showing that. I would love to say that I'm seeing it from a clinical side. Um, I, I I'm just not really overall. However, it's really those folks who we're just not seeing in clinic, right? The ones that we're seeing are having the problems because of these things. And so that's why we just might not being it so much from, again, from that clinical side. But I can't tell you how happy I am to hear that type of information on that survey. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah. The other thing I think that is happening is that people are just talking about health more. I think it's something we swept under the rug because we all know we weren't living up to our ideals on health. But the conversation, Make America Healthy, which is a great slogan, but I just noticed that people are paying a little bit more closer attention to the topic, which I guess is maybe the starting point on a long journey. Tell us just how that dynamic plays out when you see it in clinics where you are.
Yeah, so when folks come in and they're dealing with these issues and these substances, and just asking, hey, what can I do? Usually we're just going to throw a medication at you, right? That's how medicine has really been for the last few decades. Well, now we're getting people in who are saying, I don't want to take this medication. What else can I do to make sure my blood pressure goes down, my blood sugar goes down, to make my liver healthier? And honestly, I'm seeing wonderful results. Now, sometimes we still have to put people on medications, don't get me wrong there, but the amount of discussions that we are actually hearing from people saying, I've got to do better, what can I do, is certainly skyrocketing. It's a wonderful thing to hear.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
What are some of the most popular supplements available at Pure Health? Because we've had conversations about a lot of them, and they all sound fantastic. But I'm sure there are some that are more popular than others. Tell us about them.
Yeah, there are. So in total, there's 45, soon to be 48 here coming out soon. Number
Wow.
one favorite is the liver health formula. So the great thing, this one has 2 million bottles are sold. This is one of the two I take on a daily basis. And as the name implies, it just helps to support that thriving liver health. So it can help reduce fat deposits in the liver, maybe trim some of that belly fat by igniting that metabolism and just trying to get out some of those harmful toxins. Second one, our lymph system support. And so those of us with swelling, fluid retention, you look at that in your legs, your ankles, your feet, you're going to love this one because it's going to help flush out some of that extra fluid, alleviating some of that uncomfortableness and just tightness in your legs. And sometimes, hopefully, restoring a little bit more shapely legs a little bit. And finally, the second one that, again, I take personally every day is the blood sugar formula. It just helps to curb that appetite, crush those sugar cravings, making it just a little bit easier to stay away from some of those treats. And honestly, this is where you're seeing some of that. Look in some of your favorite treats, whether they be chips or candies or whatever, and you can't pronounce most of those things. And this Make America Healthy again is trying to focus in on some of those things so we can get some of that out of the food we're doing. And so helping bring down that blood sugar level is so wildly helpful to the vision, kidneys, heart, overall circulation. So it's wonderful. We're finally starting to talk about this on a much greater level than just a few little clicks out there. Again, super exciting things.
It is, and I think just educating people on the relationship between sugar and liver, that's something you guys have helped us do so well. And I just didn't realize how much damage it could create to a liver, and the liver is the engine for so much of your body. You've got some new ones. You mentioned, every time I go to the site, there's some new things, but you said three more coming on line soon. What are the ones you're most excited about coming into the market soon?
Well, I'm going to have to keep a kibosh on that one. I don't think I
Gotcha.
have the permission yet to be spreading those things, but hopefully soon I'll
Gotcha.
be able to get that out to you.
That's
I
great.
love that.
That's
How,
good.
John mentioned sugar. Sugar, it seems like sugar is the catalyst for so much destruction in the body, not just in the liver, but in practically every system. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, sugars are really one of those things that really start depositing fats in it, whether it be adipose tissue, whether it be fats on the liver, and so or deposits on the liver, and so we just really want to make sure to cut down on that. And honestly, one of the biggest problems is a lot of the marketing that folks are doing, where they're like, "Hey, this is real cane sugar," or "This is this kind of sugar. It's not as bad." In moderation, sure, anything is going to be okay. But unfortunately, this advertising that is going on now is misleading folks to think, well, I'm going to drink this now because it's real cane sugar as opposed to this. And honestly, if you still consume a lot of it, then you're going to be ending up in the same kind of problem. So we really need to watch that advertising and overall just cut down on sugars across the board.
Yeah, so important. So I noticed once I started focusing on this, and it was probably the surprise for me the most. I started taking liver health formula. My doctor said, "Hey, your liver function is really improving. Whatever you do, keep doing." Like, okay, I tell you, here's what I'm doing. I started to realize two things. I slept better at night suddenly, and the second thing is I always felt a lot more energy. Like I just, when I would normally be downshifting, like, "Oh, I've had a long day, I'm done," I still had more pep in the tank. How does the liver, when it starts to heal like that, how does it start to do things like make you more able to sleep, more able to feel energy when you normally would be shutting down for the night?
Yeah, and here's the great thing. It's not just the liver, but when you concentrate on supporting one thing like the liver health does, igniting some of that metabolism again, it's going to affect other systems. So it's the body is fascinating when you look at the hormones, the steroids, everything that is part of it. You start helping in one area, and you're really going to start helping in others. So your neurotransmitters are going to work a little bit better. Hopefully, some of your things like your melatonin, your natural melatonin is going to kick in. So you start helping balancing one area, and you're going to notice a significant difference across the board with just all of your body systems. And so that's why these things are great. Where you can say it's a healthy liver formula, but it can do a whole lot more than that as well. But the title of the supplement can only be so long, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Tolbert, before we let you go, Secretary Kennedy spat out a statistic that I found absolutely appalling and alarming, that 18% of kids and teens have fatty liver disease. How on earth, when you're that young, are they getting fatty liver disease? What's contributing to that?
And, I would offer either of you come sit with me in a clinic someday, and you'll see exactly why. You'll see when you talk about, hey, what is your diet like at home, and they start telling you of the chips, the pop. Some folks are saying, well, I can drink as much Diet Coke as I want. I'll have a regular Coke, and then I have a Diet Coke because it cancels it out. Just some of the misinformation that's out there and the garbage that parents continue to let their kids eat is just astounding. And I'm really hoping this Making America Healthy Again is going to get really that education to where it needs to get to the people that are just so misinformed and just not knowing that these things are going to be lifelong if you don't take care of them right away. But we see this every day.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing it at the state level, the improvements, because I think about a half a dozen states have banned the sugary stuff, the soft drinks, the candy from food stamps. So that's a good start. And Dr. Ian Tolbert, you always give us great information for Pure Health Research. Thanks so much for being here tonight.
Appreciate you both. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. And to our viewers, if you are interested in any of those formulas that we talked about tonight, head over to purehealthresearch.com now. Explore their 45 amazing supplements, soon to be 48, and save 35% before this deal ends with the coupon code JUSTNEWS. Very easy to remember, JUSTNEWS for 35% off. We've got a few final thoughts on the other side of this break. We'll be right back.